אני שמח להיות פה. I'm happy to be here. I already saw some questions from Miri, from Stuart. You'll get your answers as we go along. If you have questions, sometimes the questions get answered throughout the presentation. So I would wait 20, 30 minutes unless the question is really, really burning and you don't think it's going to be answered to wait until you ask it in the Q&A. Okay, this webinar has two parts. In the first part, you'll participate in a staged conversation between two Hebrew speakers where your job is to respond to my cues out loud. In this first part, there will be no visuals. Trust your sense of hearing. Okay, and I discourage you, yes, Miri, I discourage you from taking notes because I want you to train your ear and your mouth rather than people are used to taking notes in school. This is a skill that we're learning here. This is not a school subject. So try to hold off for the first part for the first portion of the lesson from writing. In the second part, we will have a look at the text of the conversation. So those who are very visually oriented, you'll have that as well. And I won't be able to hear you or see you during this presentation, but I'm going to trust that you guys are speaking out loud because that's how you're going to really learn this material. התחלנו. Let's get started. How would you wish someone a good morning in Hebrew? Be sure to speak out loud. Boker tov. Boker tov. Here's how you'd wish somebody a good afternoon. Just listen. Tzohoraim tovim. Listen and repeat the word for noon. Tzohoraim. Raim. Tzoho. Tzohoraim. Here's good afternoon, or literally, good noon. Hakshivu v'chizru. Listen and repeat. Hakshivu v'chizru. Tzohoraim tovim. 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 How would you wish somebody a good morning? Boker tov. And how would you wish somebody a good afternoon, or literally good noons? Tzohoraim tovim. Rachel has just made Aliyah from the States with her husband and two kids. As they pile into the taxi at the airport, the driver says to them, "Good afternoon." How does he say it? Tzohoraim tovim. The driver says to them, "Where to?" Hakshivu v'chizru. Listen and repeat. Le'an. Le'an. Make sure you're speaking out loud. That's the mechanism here. You may know the word you may be familiar with the word efo, which means where, asking where something is located. Le'an, on the other hand, asks where in the sense of in what direction or towards what location. The driver says to the family, "Where to?" Le'an. He says, "Where are we going to?" Hakshivu v'chizru. Listen and repeat. Hakshivu v'chizru. Le'an nosim? Nosim. Im. Nosim. In le'an nosim, the word for we is implied. What is the Hebrew word for we? Anachnu. How might you say we are going or we are traveling using anachnu? Anachnu nosim. The driver asks, "Where are we going to?" Here he doesn't use anachnu. Le'an nosim? Rachel replies, we are going to Jerusalem. Hakshivu v'chizru. Nos'im liRushalayim. LiRushalayim. The driver says to them, good afternoon. Tzohoraim tovim. Where are we going to? לאן נוסעים? לאן? Rachel replies, to Jerusalem. לירושלים. She adds, please. בבקשה. She gives them the address saying Hapisga Street. רחוב הפסגה. רחוב הפסגה. When giving an address in Israel, we start first with the street and only then we add the number. Rachel says Hapisga Street, Rehov HaPisga, 4. Arba. Anybody here from Beit Vagan? That's where Rehov HaPisga is located in Jerusalem. The driver says, no problem. Hakshivu v'chizru. En be'aya. 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 En be'aya. Rachel says, Hapisga Street, 4. רחוב הפסגה, 4. Please. בבקשה. The driver replies, no problem. אין בעיה. And off they go. While speeding along the airport highway, passing by tall, beautiful palm trees, the driver says to the family, tell me, hakshivu v'chizru, tagidu, gidu, tagidu. He says to them, tell me, or literally, say, tagidu. Why? Lama? Lama? He wants to know what might motivate an American family to up and move across the world to Israel. He says, tell me, why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? Hakshivu v'chizru. Tagidu, lama alitem la'aretz? Alitem la'aretz. Alitem. Alitem. Atem alitem. La'aretz. Ha'aretz is a term of endearment for Israel. It means literally the country or the land. Listen and repeat. Ha'aretz. Haaretz. It's also the name of a newspaper. How do you say to Israel, or literally to the land? La'aretz. The driver says to the family, tell me, tagidu, why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? Make sure you're speaking out loud. למה עליתם לארץ? How did he wish them a good afternoon? צהריים טובים. He asked them, where are we going to? לאן נוסעים? לאן נוסעים? Rachel replied, to Jerusalem. לירושלים. לי. לירושלים. הפסגה street 4. רחוב הפסגה 4. The driver said, no problem. אין בעיה. He said to them, tell me, why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? תגידו, למה עליתם לארץ? Rachel replies, we made Aliyah, הקשיבו וחזרו. עלינו, עלינו, because, כי, we love, אנחנו אוהבים, אוהבים. Rachel says, we love, אנחנו אוהבים. The driver asked, why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? למה עליתם לארץ? Rachel replied, we made Aliyah. עלינו, which means literally, we went up, because we love, כי אנחנו אוהבים, we love Israel. אנחנו אוהבים את הארץ. את הארץ. את. So that extra word et doesn't have a translation to English. In Hebrew, we use it to show that an action is being done on something specific. In this case, Rachel and family do the action of loving the specific place of Israel. But don't worry too much about the reasons why we use et. You'll learn to use it by example. How does the driver say, tell me, why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? תגידו, למה עליתם לארץ? Rachel replies, because כי אנחנו, we love Israel, or we love the country. אנחנו אוהבים את הארץ. The driver says, yeah, כן, but, אבל. What's the Hebrew word for good? Tov. The driver asks, but weren't you guys happy, or literally, but isn't it good for you? הקשיבו וחזרו. אבל לא טוב לכם. טוב לכם. He says, isn't it good for you guys? לא טוב לכם? In America? באמריקה? Rachel replies, it's good there. הקשיבו וחזרו. טוב שם. שם. No need for זה. She says, it's good in America. טוב באמריקה. It's good there. טוב שם. How does the driver ask why they made Aliyah to Israel? למה עליתם לארץ? He says to them, tell me, or simply tell. תגידו. Rachel replies, we made Aliyah עלינו because כי אנחנו we love Israel. אנחנו אוהבים את הארץ. The driver said, yeah, but isn't it good for you guys? כן, אבל לא טוב לכם. In America? באמריקה? Rachel replied, it's good there. טוב שם. But here, אבל פה, if you said כאן, that would be correct as well. אבל כאן, but we're going to use פה for this lesson. She says, it's good there, but here, טוב שם, אבל פה, there is, יש, something, משהו, there is something, יש משהו, special, הקשיבו וחזרו, מיוחד, חד, יוחד, מיוחד, משהו מיוחד. Rachel says, it's good there. טוב שם. But here, there's something special. אבל פה, יש משהו מיוחד. Let's review the conversation from the beginning. The driver greets Rachel and family with, good afternoon. צהריים טובים. Where are we going to? לאן נוסעים? He could also say, לאן אנחנו נוסעים? Rachel says, to Jerusalem. לירושלים. הפסגה Street 4. רחוב הפסגה 4. The driver says, no problem. אין בעיה. On the way, the driver says, tell me, to the family. תגידו, why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? למה עליתם לארץ? Rachel replies, we made Aliyah. עלינו. Because we love. כי אנחנו אוהבים. Israel, or the country. את הארץ. It. The driver says, yeah, but isn't it good for you guys in America? כן, אבל לא טוב לכם באמריקה? Now, the truth is that they have just moved to Israel, so it's really, wasn't it good for you guys in America? How might you say, wasn't it good? לא היה טוב? היה. You could say, לא היה טוב לכם, or לא היה לכם טוב, but we'll leave that for now. Rachel says, it's good there. טוב שם. But here, אבל פה, there's something special. יש משהו מיוחד. מיוחד. Here, there's something special. פה יש משהו מיוחד. Okay, so that is the end of the speaking and listening portion. Now we'll move on to the visual presentation. Okay, so now if you have a pen and paper out, I invite you to write down the Hebrew as you imagine it spelled for each of these. Good morning. How would you say good morning in Hebrew? Speak it out loud and write it down. And here's how to spell it. Boker tov. So if you made a mistake, you can correct yourself. Notice that the k in boker is a kuf and not a kaf. And the t in tov is a tet, not a taf. Noon. How do you say noon in Hebrew? Tzahoraim. And even though there's an o sound, there's no vav here. Tzahoraim. Good afternoon or good noon. Tzahoraim tovim. To where? Le'an. Where are we going to? Le'an nosim. Now here we use nosim instead of holchim because they're going by vehicle. If they were walking down the street, then it would be lan holchim, where are we going or walking? But nosim is the proper way, is the better way of saying going by vehicle. What do you think the three-letter root of this word is? Nun samich ayin, where the rest of the letters are there because of the conjugation. Nosim. To Jerusalem. L'Yerushalayim. Street. Rechov. Notice that it's a chet, not a chaf. For Hapisga Street. Pisga means the peak, like the summit. Rechov Pisga Arba. Notice that there's no yud here in Hapisga. The yud is implied. The e sound is spelled without the yud, or it's implied. No problem. En be'aya. Be'aya with an ayin. Tell me, to a couple, to a family, Tagidu. You may recognize this root anyway from Haggadah Shel Pesach. Because in the Haggadah we tell over the story. Why? Lama. And we use lama and not madua because this is day-to-day conversation. Madua is really for formal contexts. Why did you guys make Aliyah to Israel? Lama alitem la'aretz. And in the word alitem, you may see the word aliyah, related anyway. What do you think the three-letter root of this word is? Ayin Lamed, well, the yud actually could be colored as well. Ayin Lamed Yud, Ayin Lamed Hey. We made Aliyah Alinu Atem alitem, anachnu alinu. You can see the patterns here. You can see the rhyming sequence. Atem alitem, anachnu alinu. Because we. Ki anachnu. Love. Ohavim. What do you think the three-letter root of this word is? Aleph, Hey, Bet. Like ahava, love in the general sense. Israel, the country. Et haaretz. And we have this et over here because they're doing a specific action on the specific place. They're doing an action on the specific place of Israel. They're loving Israel. Et haaretz. You aren't happy, or it isn't good for you guys. לא טוב לכם? In America? באמריקה? It's good there. טוב שם. But here, אבל פה, there's something יש משהו special. מיוחד. Okay. Now, this visual presentation may have gone a little bit fast for some people to take notes the whole time. After this webinar, you will be getting an email with links to review materials where you can take as many notes as you want at your leisure. And you'll have audio recordings of all the words presented here in the visual, and you'll have the dialogue learned during the speaking and listening portion with a recording. So you'll be able to review this as much as you want, and as well as games with Quizlet. Now I will open up questions. I see there's already some questions here. So I'll start answering them one by one. Okay, so the question that I just deleted by accident was, why is boker singular and tzoraim plural? Because boker is, well, singular makes sense. Morning is morning. Boker is one thing. Tzoraim, where in English it's one thing. It's noon. It's not noons. In Hebrew, it's tzoraim. It's a double noon kind of thing. And the idea there is that it's I'm not sure exactly why, but historically, or so it's two tzohar, pa'amayim tzohar. Tzohar is this light. It's like extra light, something like that. So we use the plural. Will all the intermediate classes be at this level? This was geared towards lower intermediate. Next week and the following weeks, we'll probably raise the level a notch. Why tagidu and not tagid li? Okay, so tagidu means literally say or tell when speaking to a group. It doesn't mean tell me, literally. He could say tagidu li if he's speaking to the group, which means literally tell to me. And if it's one person, if it's a man, he would say tagid li, or simply tagid. And if it's to a woman, he would say tagidi li, or simply tagidi. Okay. כי אני אוהב חומוס. גם אני אוהב חומוס. Okay. Biglal versus ki. Biglal means because of. And ki means simply because. Like, Biglal hayeladim echarti. Because of the kids, I was late. Or Biglal, well, then you run into Biglal she. Biglal she is pretty much like ki. But the simple way of saying because is ki. Biglal is generally because of. It indicates a direct object, yes, but I didn't want to go into grammatical jargon because that puts people off. So, but yes, it does indicate a direct object. Okay, somebody was curious why there's no ze before tov sham. Instead of saying ze tov sham, we simply say tov sham. And that's something which is it's just different between languages. English uses it's more all the time, as much as it can, versus Hebrew, where we try to be more abbreviated in that way. Another example is the driver said le'an nosim. He didn't say le'an anachnu nosim, which would be grammatically the complete sentence, but he says le'an nosim, whereas in English we wouldn't leave out the word we. He wouldn't say where going. He'd say, or he wouldn't say where are going. He'd say where are we going. In English we use more helping words that way. Okay. Why wouldn't we say tov shama? Okay, so shama, it's a synonym for sham, but generally speaking, shama means in that direction. Ani nosea shama, I'm going towards there. It also, people use it as sham, but it's less correct to say that. It's tov sham. It's better to say tov sham. It's good there. Tov shama is not incorrect and it's understood, but it's better to say tov sham. Shouldn't it be script letters for copying it down? Yeah, but my font doesn't have script letters. So it's better to write down with script letters for sure. Well, we read with printed letters, with the tfus, but we write with ktav. We write with script. Until how late in the afternoon is it okay to say tzoraim tovim? Only early afternoon, or even say 3-4 p.m.? Yeah, I'd say 3-4 p.m. is fine. Tzoraim tovim. Some people will say achar tzoraim tovim, which means literally good afternoon, but most people just say tzoraim tovim until the sun starts going down, at which time it's an iffy time, and once the sun is already, once it's sunset, then it's safe to say erev tov. In Arabic, it's masal khir, which is both good afternoon and good evening. So you might have somebody saying to you at 1 p.m., tzoraim tovim, if they're Arab and they don't know the proper terms. Interesting interplay of languages. The difference between a single and double yud at the end of the word. Tzoraim has 2 yuds before the mem because it's an ayim, it's a double. When we have these diphthongs, when we have these ayim, aim, then we'll have 2 yuds. But generally speaking, 1 yud is an im. Okay. What is the next class available is next week. Let's see. Why not yoter tov? Yoter tov means better. It doesn't mean very good. It means better. Yoter tov means more good, better. So it doesn't make sense in this context. How would you say, please put on the meter? Okay, this is something very practical for the taxi. Na lehaf'il et hamoneh. I'm going to write this by text. Okay, the word for meter is moneh. Right, this lesson assumed that they're going by get taxi, which doesn't require any moneh. But yeah, moneh. Na lehaf'il et hamoneh. Okay, listen and repeat. Hakshivu v'chizru. Okay. Devora Waxer. Is Miuchedet medical system similar route to Miuchad, to special Miuchad? Really good question. There are 2 routes. There's Aleph Chet Daled, which means 1, Echad, and there's Yud Chet Daled, which means special, or basically special, or together, Yachad. And they have similar meanings. 2 out of the 3 letters are the same, the Chet and the Daled. So there probably is a common denominator between them, but they're similar roots, but they're not exactly the same. Okay.
Hey, Ami, can you just type it in the chat box and not the QA box? Some people are just having a hard time seeing where you're typing.
Sure. What did I type? Okay, so what did I type before? The meter. Na lehaf'il et hamoneh. That's one way of saying it. Another way of saying it is a little more abrupt. Hamoneh bevakasha. Na is a nice word for please. Please is already a nice word, but na is an extra nice word for please. Na lehaf'il et hamone. Please turn on. Lehaf'il means operate. Please operate the meter. Okay, so 6 p.m. in the winter when it's dark, that's Erev Tov for sure. Meyuchad is not united. Meyuchad is special. Meuchad with an aleph is united from the root al echad, one. Okay. Let's see. Is it incorrect to use those extra letters like Yud and Hapisga? In the word Hapisga, it would be incorrect. In other words, it would not be. There's really kind of complicated rules for Yud to kind of get used to it, get to know it by example. Or, I mean, now is not the time to go into the theory, all the rules. Same with the last yesh. Why not to use me, etc.? I don't quite understand the question. How did I get my Israeli authentic Israeli accent? From my father. My father's Israeli, raised me speaking Hebrew in LA. ובזכותו אני מדבר עברית ברמה טובה. Okay. Sham, not Shama, referring to the land. Oh, okay. So Sham means there, and it doesn't matter if what's there is masculine or feminine. It's Sham or Shama, because we're not describing the land. We're talking about where it is. Okay, Lama and Madua. Lama is for day-to-day speech, day-to-day conversation. Madua is when writing a book or lecturing in the university. It's a higher level way of saying why. Thank you. Now the term we use for making aliyah, we made aliyah is alinu la'aretz, and you guys made aliyah alitem la'aretz. People also say asinu aliyah, we made aliyah, or asitem aliyah, have you guys made aliyah? Those are acceptable as well, but alinu and alitem is more properly Hebrew. Asitem aliyah is more of a translation from English. Would I be able to do a quick reish versus chet? Yeah. Reish, chet. For reish, think about French and German, r, and chet is ch, like chutzpah. Okay. When would you use po and when kan? It's kind of arbitrary. There isn't really a hard and fast rule for when to use po and when to use kan. Use them interchangeably. People answer with Boker Tov. Can you open that instead of what Boker Tov is always the opening. People will respond with Boker Or, which means morning of light, which is it's a Semitic language thing. Arabic has like a 4-part exchange for good morning. Hebrew only has Boker Tov, Boker Or. But you could also answer Boker Tov with simply Boker Tov. Tips on Israeli accents. Yeah, imitate. Listen to authentic pronunciation and imitate it. That's the best way to do it. Just try to get it as close as you can to the original, to the authentic pronunciation by example, by listening. You can use Netflix. You can use videos of native speakers for this. You can use my daily video and slow it down so you can get the pronunciation. Did I just say that na is better than bevakasha? No, I did not say it's better. I said it's more formal. Na is fancier, and it's not appropriate in all contexts. You're not going to get into the taxi and say, well, you could say na lafil tamona. Yes. In that case, it makes sense. But it's not interchangeable with bevakasha. In day-to-day conversation, you're more likely to use bevakasha. Laila tov is good night. That's when you're wishing somebody you're partying with them and they're going to sleep. You could also say it late at night if you're greeting someone, but it's better to say it Laila Tov when somebody is actually on their way to go to bed, or you're not going to see them anymore this evening. Otherwise, it's erev tov, good evening. What I said about united and special, me'uchad means united, echad. Meyuchad is special, is singularly special. Maybe not singularly, special. Okay, let's see, one or two more questions. Yeah, we have a daily video. I'll tell you about, well, you'll get the review materials with the word of the day, and then you can check out the daily video there. It's the service, the Daily Dose of Hebrew, which is an email list. Na is usually on signs instead of bevakasha. Yes, that's an indication. If it's on signs, then it's probably more formal. Bevakasha is what people use in day-to-day speech, and na is a little more formal, with the exception of getting into the cabin saying na le'afil et hamone. Or you could just say hamone bevakasha. Okay, that's all for me. Toda rabba lachem. And Ali, if you want to close up.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ami. As Ami mentioned, you will get the recording to this so you guys can practice on your own. You'll also get a link to some vocabulary, some games, some practice that you can do. And we'll also send you the link to next week to sign up. This will be a 5-week course, but you can sign up for as many as you would like. And they're all going to be at 7 p.m. Israel time. So we encourage you to continue signing up and practicing with Ami. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm going to put it in the chat box now. Yeah, have a good night, everyone.